I helped save my parents' house. I paid their bills. I supported this family for years. So imagine my shock when over dinner, they told me to give up my room for my brother or leave. They expected me to beg. Instead, I made a decision they never saw coming. We were sitting around the table like we always did. My mom had made roasted chicken. My dad was talking about mortgage rates, and my younger brother Marcus sat beside his fiancée Lila, smiling like he'd just won the lottery. I remember thinking it was strange how cheerful everyone looked, like they were waiting for a moment. Then my dad cleared his throat and said, "We need to talk about the living arrangements." I looked up. Okay. My mom folded her hands and smiled in that careful, polite way she uses when she's already made a decision. She said, "Since Marcus and Lila are getting married soon, we think it would be best if they had your room." I blinked. My room? My dad nodded like this was obvious. "You can take the guest room or move out." Just like that. No discussion, no warning. A choice that wasn't really a choice. I felt the words hit my chest like a weight. That room wasn't just a room. I paid to renovate it. I bought the flooring. I painted the walls myself. I worked freelance nights at the desk in that room to help cover the mortgage when my dad's business struggled. I tried to keep my voice steady. "I helped pay for this house," my mom said, "and we appreciate that. But family comes first." Family. I guess I wasn't included in that definition anymore. Marcus stared down at his plate. Lila squeezed his hand and avoided my eyes. I set my fork down and said, "Okay, I'll move out." No argument, no scene, just calm acceptance. But inside, something shifted. That night I packed one suitcase and left. Not dramatically, not loudly, quietly. And while I packed, I remembered something very important. 2 years earlier, when my parents almost lost the house, I co-signed the refinancing loan. My credit made it possible. My name was on the paperwork, not just as a helper, as a co-borrower. They never thought it mattered. I moved into a tiny studio apartment with thin walls and flickering lights. It wasn't comfortable, but it was mine. For 3 months, I continued paying my portion of the mortgage exactly on time. I didn't argue. I didn't complain. I showed up to family events and acted polite, calm, unbothered. Meanwhile, Marcus and Lila redecorated my old room. They posted photos online with captions about their fresh start. I liked the posts. Then I made a phone call. I spoke to the bank and requested a formal reassessment of the property agreement due to a change in residency and financial structure. There was a clause in the loan. If a co-borrower requested reassessment, the bank could require renegotiation or repayment. In simple terms, the stability of the house depended on me. I gathered every record I had: payment history, renovation receipts, signed documents. Then I sent a certified letter. Within hours, my phone filled with calls. My mom said, "What is this letter? Call me back immediately." My dad said, "You're putting this family at risk." I didn't respond. A meeting was scheduled with the bank. I attended quietly while the advisor explained the options: refinance without me at a higher cost, or sell the house. For the first time, my parents looked at me differently, not as the daughter who would always adapt, but as someone whose choices mattered. After the meeting, my dad pulled me aside and asked, "What do you want?" I told him, "I want fairness." He said, "Stop being dramatic." So I handed him a folder. Inside was a simple proposal: repay what I invested, remove my name from the loan, publicly acknowledge my contribution, not revenge, balance. They had 1 week to decide. The decision came at the wedding rehearsal dinner. Right before dessert, my dad stood up and raised his glass. His voice was tight when he said, "Before the wedding, there's something we want to acknowledge. Elena played a major role in helping us keep our home these past years. We're grateful for her support. It wasn't warm, it wasn't emotional, but it was the truth, spoken out loud." Marcus mouthed "I'm sorry" across the table. The next morning, the repayment was transferred. My name was removed from the loan. Legally, financially, emotionally, I was free. But the story didn't end there. I used the money as a down payment on a duplex. I lived in one unit and rented out the other. 6 months later, my parents faced financial strain after refinancing the house without me. Payments were higher, things were tight. One evening, they showed up at my door. My mom said quietly, "We didn't realize how much you carried." My dad stood there looking smaller than I had ever seen him. I opened the door and said, "I have a guest room." They hesitated, so I added, gently, "Or you can look elsewhere." There was a long silence. Then my dad nodded and said, "The guest room is fine." And in that moment, something finally balanced. I didn't throw them out. I didn't shout. I didn't punish them. I gave them the same choice they gave me. Because sometimes revenge isn't loud. Sometimes it's a mirror. Sometimes it's letting people experience the weight of their own decisions. They asked me to shrink to make room for someone else. Instead, I built a life where no one could move me out again. And that's how I went from being told to take the guest room to owning the house that had one.